morning and welcome to the Fusionary Health Podcast. I am Dr. Shivani Gupta, and this is the podcast dedicated to recalibrating your health every day. My goal is to help you wake up each day energized by addressing root causes and giving you new approaches to preventive health. The more we know about integrative health, the more empowered we are in building the vibrant health we want. So I am so excited to introduce you guys to one of my favorite practitioners. Her name is Dr. Tami Singh. And when I found her, I felt like I had finally found the person who I was going to get to work on for my health. And I have to tell you, that's a big compliment because I'm pretty obsessed with health and wellness. And I like finding someone who's as tenacious about health and as dedicated and focused on all the different spectrum of solutions that exist, who's open-minded enough to say, yes, let's look at it, but also who has that body of knowledge to say, you know what, I hear what you're saying, but here are the parameters in which I feel comfortable. So I would love for you to introduce yourself, share a little bit about yourself, what you practice, and then we'll dive in.
Well, thank you so much, Shivani, and that I'm here today and excited to share my story. So I'm a board-certified family physician. I'm also a Yogini, Reiki healer, and certified functional medicine practitioner, as well as the owner of Aspire Health. So about 5 years ago, I opened up my own practice. It's a DPC model called Direct Primary Care, and it is similar style as concierge, but I don't like to use that word. It's just similar in the fact that it's at a more affordable price for patients. So it really allows me to take care of my patients the way I want to take care of them, have longer office visits, shorter wait times in the office. They're able to do telephone calls with me, video calls with me, get a hold of me after hours on the weekend if something urgent is going on. So it really allows me to build a relationship with my patient.
Absolutely. And that's been my experience working with your practice is if I need something, I can text in, I can email in, and there's someone who's there who's going to respond in less than 2-3 weeks, which is sometimes the delay we see. It's someone who within 48 hours is like, yep, handled, don't worry, I've got you, which is so nice.
Yes. I always put myself in my patient's shoes. I always teach my staff when we're training that we want to be treated the way we want, our patients are treated. So make sure we're putting ourselves in those shoes to, treat them with the best care that we can.
Sure. So I know you were practicing before, and when you moved here into South Florida, you opened up a DPC practice. Will you share more about that model for people who don't understand it? My understanding of DPC is it's a membership model. There's a lot of people who have insurance, but it might be more for catastrophic. They might have high deductibles. They might not be insured and they want care, or they are someone who needs more care. They're someone who needs more time with their physician, someone who can sit there for an hour, dig into the volume of health issues and health history with them, and then really take the time to come up with those solutions. So how do you see DPC supporting which groups the best?
Yeah, so the reason why I started a DPC practice was because I was in an insurance practice style model, physician-owned group, then the hospital took us over. And so I was seeing about 30 to 40 patients a day, taking home on the weekends and in the evenings, hundreds of charts, and just sitting on my couch, watching Netflix and doing charts. It was miserable, absolutely miserable. And my patients were waiting longer in a waiting room than to see me. So with this model, I am really able to take time with the patients. In regards to the membership, when I first started, it was more focused for non-insured patients, but believe it or not, now my patient panel, about 90% have insurance. Sure. And so what I like to explain to individuals is that insurance, think of it like your car insurance. We have car insurance for accidents, for emergencies, when something wrong happens to our car, pretty much an accident. And so, but we still need to put gas in it. Yep. We still need to rotate our tires. We still need to, change tires, wash it, do all these maintenance stuff. I like to tell my patients, that's what I'm here for. I'm here for preventative care. I'm here to dig deep, help your symptoms, work on those things like giving you a car wash or rotating your tires or doing those things. I'm here for that. But we still need insurance for catastrophic emergency stuff. There's even insurance plans that are just for hospitalizations. So patients pay, they have these high deductible plans and they're never meeting their deductibles.
Sure.
So a lot of times they're utilizing me. We're not touching their insurance until they step foot into a hospital.
Got it.
So when they look at their finances and look at how much they spend for me versus how much, if they got that great insurance plan that they say they're getting, that everything's covered, which it's not true. You're always paying something out of pocket, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It works out in the end better for those patients.
Yeah. And I've seen that too. Like I have great insurance. I've historically had great insurance, but I wasn't using it. I was only if we went to a specialist like dermatology, still you're paying copay, still you're paying a percentage of that visit. Still that's adding up versus when you have access to a physician where you're actually going to get more than 5 minutes with them, then you have this unique opportunity to kind of look at your health differently as well. Because I've gone to primary care offices before and they were like, okay, this is your wellness check. Everything looks great. Keep going. And I always got infuriated because I was like, wait a minute, there is so much more to know about me. I know that my diet and my lifestyle leads to certain deficiencies. And I want to know what those are. I want to dig deeper under the hood using your example. So will you share a little bit about how you work with those kinds of patients? Well, let me take a step back. Will you share the difference between primary care and family practice and internal medicine? Because I assumed it was all the same.
Yes, I love explaining this, especially to medical students. They're not aware of this. And I teach a lot of medical students in my office. So as a family physician, we're trained, if we're in this small little town, we're able to take care of mom when she's pregnant, deliver the baby, take care of mom and baby, all up until adulthood and geriatrics. So we get to do that full spectrum of the family. The whole idea of this family. So I'm able to see kids, newborns, their parents, their grandparents, different generations. And that's what I'm so passionate I love about, because you see the similarities, you know how to treat them, you get to know the whole generation, like multiple generations. And it's so amazing. Whereas in internal medicine, it's only adults. Okay. Also in family medicine, I can do dermatology. So I do biopsies. I can do cyst removals. I can do toenail removal. It's like little small procedures. If you want to, you can do it. So I get to do as much as I want or as little as I want. I also do, basic cardiology with EKGs and able to treat hypertension and hyperlipidemia, cholesterol, and, endocrinology stuff, diabetes, thyroid disorder. So it's what you feel comfortable with. I'm able to do the full gamut of, I do wellness visits for females. I do pap smears. So it really allows me to do as much as I want or as little as I want. And if I don't know something, I'm going to be referring my patients to those specialists. Sure.
And I know that in your work, you have like a group of doctors, like you have a battery of doctors who are your places that you refer to. And I really appreciate that because it's like you have your preferred network that you're sending out to who are on the same wavelength as you, who will work with patients.
Yes, it's amazing, the network that I've built, because I can literally text somebody today, and if I need them to get in to see that doctor tomorrow, they will do it for me. They will bend backwards and they do it. So it's amazing. I had a specialist today, a hematologist. He saw my patient. I got the report today from his visit today. And I was able to check up on my patient and know what's going on. And, it just, again, gives that personalized care and keeps me in the loop. As a family physician, you want to be kind of that main head of the household, I would say, to kind of steer the patients in whatever direction they go to.
Sure. Yeah. And that's a big deal. I think, at some level, we've gotten kind of used to waits. In restaurants now you have to wait. To get anything in life, you have to wait. And in medicine, we've kind of just gotten used to that. It's kind of a machine and it's not easy. I work with physicians all the time and I can see that dealing with insurance and the whole system that they're dealing with is challenging. But to have the level of care where your family practice doctor can see your hematology results same day from the specialist, because of the relationship is a big deal, because then you're not stressed out about it. You're not sitting around in fear waiting for these results. Same day, you're getting that comfort like, hey, I already looked at this, you're fine, which is really nice.
Yeah, my patients appreciate it and they value.
Yeah, absolutely. So will you share a little bit about functional medicine? Because I feel like functional medicine is those like gems in the mountains where you have to go seeking to find them. I'm constantly looking for functional medicine. And when I meet a functional medicine practitioner, my goal is to ascertain what kind are you? Where do you think? Where do you specialize? Are you more into mold? Are you more into detoxing people? Are you more into gut? Are you more into the overall? Are you obsessed with not only the nutrient deficiencies, but the food allergies, but the gut test. And you know me as a patient, so I'm obsessed with every test. I'm like, let's understand every ounce of every detail. And what I also appreciate about you is you say, look, we can test all day and get all this data, but what are you going to do with that data? Are you going to make yourself crazy with that data, being a little too specific in your diet? Or are you wasting your money? Like, let's be reasonable in what we do and stage it so that we're really being cognizant of that part as well. So will you share a little bit about your background with functional medicine, what got you into it, and then maybe even some patient stories? Because I love to hear how this system of medicine has helped people that most people don't realize or know about.
So coming from Indian descent, I always grew up with like more natural things. Just rather than taking a pill for something, it's like drink a tea or take this, herb or do something else, right? Or food. So I, going to medical school, it was kind of like, okay, kind of opposite, because it's like, you have this problem, take a pill for it. I still didn't believe in it, even though I did believe in it to an extent. You do need medicine for certain things, but not for everything. So in my last practice, I was trying to dibble dabble in some stuff and recommend vitamin D to my patients and, certain different supplements, but I didn't get to do it, fully, because I was restricted. And so when I opened my practice, I knew I wanted to do things the way I want to do them. Yeah. And I got into yoga and Reiki. And once I started doing that, I got into a little bit more about Ayurvedic medicine. And I was just so passionate about that. And then I ran into integrative medicine and functional medicine. I was just like, oh my gosh, where was this all my life? Yeah. And it really is, I like to call it digging deep, and a deep dive. So you're really looking at, well, why are you feeling this way? What is causing these symptoms? Rather than you have diabetes and let's just give you metformin and go our way. Right. No, well, is it your adrenal system? Is it insulin resistance? Is what's going on? Are you super stressed? Are you not sleeping well? We want to look at everything. So my passion in functional medicine is looking at the whole body. So that's why my first visit is 2 hours long. But again, it's in a DPC model where it's affordable. Right. My prices is not thousands of dollars. Unfortunately, I've heard really sad stories from patients where they've spent thousands and thousands of dollars and they're being told, oh, we're going to cure you. We're going to fix you. We're going to help you. And they get these sad stories and they come to me and I'm like, look, I'm not here to tell you I'm going to fix you. No. Going to help you, and I'm going to do my best at trying to get you to the best optimal health I can, with whatever tools I have. And if I need to research and do more researching and, refer to another specialist or other functional practitioners, I'm more than happy to. So, I don't give my patients false hope, but I'm really on their side and I really want to get them better, because at the end of the day, when they're better, I'm happier because I know I've touched somebody, I've helped them, I've helped with their journey. So, so it's really looking at their whole picture. So I love doing gut health. I love hormones. I love adrenals. I love all of it. Yeah. So there's nothing I don't love about functional medicine. I just think it's so many, and I've done a lot of tests on myself. Sure. And that's how the story of functional medicine, when you talk to functional medicine practitioners, it's usually something within themselves. Sure. So I did testing on myself. I've seen results on myself. I've done, I love it. I love keep digging within my own health. So I'm always trying to better my health, better my mentality, emotionally, physically. So it helps me kind of keep driving myself forward and helping my patients.
Sure. And, a lot of people don't understand in functional medicine, my understanding of it is you're deep diving into your body and into your health. And oftentimes the reason people get to functional medicine's door is they've gone to their family practice or their primary care doctor. They went to some specialists, went to some more specialists, tried some different drugs and solutions and tools, maybe a lot of procedures. I meet a lot of people, they're like, they did endoscopy and this oscopy and that oscopy. And I'm like, wow, you've been tested up the wazoo in all directions. That really sounds horrible. And they still don't have solutions. And usually it takes like 18 doors before someone ends up at Ayurvedic medicine. And I love Ayurvedic medicine. As you know, I'm a practitioner, but I'm also very aware and self-aware of what my toolkit is and what my toolkit is not. And that's where I love functional medicine, because I'm like, functional medicine can actually give you so much data. And then when you want to shift lifestyle, then we can have a conversation. But until I know what's going on under the hood, you really have no idea what you're dealing with here. I would be doing like a little bit of symptom management at this point, and that's not honoring the person. So when it comes to functional, will you kind of share, when you look at a case in a person, let's say it's a subclinical female thyroid patient, which a lot of women are suffering with thyroid issues. They end up going to endocrinology. They don't understand why they took Synthroid or whatever they took, and they're not feeling better. I see this all the time. It's like the biggest pain point. That perimenopause and menopause is everyone's complaint right now. And kind of how you look at it, how you approach it, what level of testing you have in your hands, and how it's different. Because I don't think people realize they order their regular blood work, they're told they're fine, and there are other standards that could be looked at.
So I want to touch on a patient story in regards to all the testing that you spoke about just now. So I have this poster child patient, I call her, and she's not a child, she's an adult, but it was right at the beginning when I was jumping into functional medicine, first year of my training, and she started having lots of GI issues, and she was had bad acne, nausea, diarrhea, like really, really horrible GI symptoms, and just feeling horrible and losing weight and couldn't sleep. Like everything was just, she was like digging herself in a hole.
Sure.
And so she went to GI, scopes done, negative, put on PPIs, put her on all these medications, went to other, and then they kept kind of passing her around to all these specialists. And she ended up in the hospital. She ended up, multiple admissions.
Wow.
So after trying to convince her, hey, I don't think this is the route that's working. Are you willing to let me try functional medicine with you? I'm still in training. And believe it or not, I did my case presentation on her because she was just amazing results afterwards. Within like 6 months, we were able to get her on a protocol, kept chaining and the great thing about my practice is that in regards to the membership, I'm able to do 1 week check-ins if patients want, 2 week check-ins, 3 weeks. It's up to the patient how often they want me to be involved in their care or changing protocols or listening, to what their complaints are. So they're able to email me. They're able to, call for a quick phone call or the same day if they're having acute issues and one of the supplements aren't, meshing well with them. They're able to talk to my staff or ask for a phone call or ask a question. I'm able to give them back. So it's really nice that I'm able to do this, whereas it's not the traditional model where, come back in 3 months. So much can happen in 3 months.
Totally.
Or, I want an appointment. You're not going to be seen for 2 weeks. So as a member, patients get seen same day or next day.
Yeah, which is a big deal.
Yes. And so she's been amazing. But now let's get to your thyroid question. Yeah. So thyroid is such an amazing organ. And there's so many tests that we do. So selenium, zinc. The patients don't even know, why are we testing this? This has importance for conversion for thyroid. So, also our vitamin D levels, iodine levels. So I do a panel of labs on patients to really check things. And believe it or not, the labs that the traditional endocrinologist is checking, they have a different criteria than functional medicine practitioners. So they're two separate criterias, two separate information. So you really need a functional medicine doctor to kind of look at those numbers a little bit more, I guess, stricter. Yeah. Because the range for thyroid is like 0 to 4. And it's just such a large range. And one patient might do well at a 2, right, or somebody might do well at 1.
Sure.
For your TSH level. So it's really dependent on the patient. So rather than chasing numbers, we have to listen to our patients. And unfortunately, a lot of doctors, they don't have the time.
Yeah.
They're spent to, take 15 minutes or less with their patients because of insurance, just because of the insurance world. So I'm really able to spend that time with my patient. My follow-up for my functional medicine patients are an hour long. Even my traditional patients is half an hour long. So it is still, a longer appointment time than traditional offices where insurances are geared.
Sure. So it's interesting. I met a functional medicine doctor probably 2 years after having my first child. And it was my sister who had kind of stepped in and was like, I'm going to do she's like, I'm going to do an intervention. You are obviously suffering and you're not willing to share. And I was like, it's called post-baby. Everyone suffers. She's like, no, actually, I'm going to take you to someone. So I had a functional medicine doctor who was a friend of both of ours. And she sat me down and she goes, this is called subclinical thyroid. Do you feel like you are climbing a mountain uphill every day, trying to get through every day? Do you feel exhausted? Do you feel like you're lacking in motivation? You have no energy to go to the gym? And she eventually put me on a medication, and it felt like someone had put glasses on in my brain. And I was like, wait, I could have accessed my whole brain much earlier. I could have thought clearly. I didn't have to have this level of brain fog. I have a lot of discipline, so I can make myself go to the gym because I believe and know that it's good for me. But if I didn't have to fight myself every day to do that, so it was just really huge to get that level of support. And that's why I'm one of the biggest advocates of functional medicine, is I feel like sometimes we are fighting our own internal battles with ourselves, assuming that it's aging or it's just how it is, or maybe this was my genetics and I just have to fight this. So have you seen that with your patients where they believe that this is the status quo? And by creating these shifts, whether through stool test, Dutch test, much deeper, bigger panels of blood work, just those little changes create huge impacts.
Excuse me. Yes. So just vitamins. With my traditional patients, I'm still running some basic vitamin panels through LabCorp and Quest through their insurance, and just switching, adding vitamins and showing them that they're deficient in things. It's really helping. Unfortunately, a lot of, doctors are telling patients, no, you don't need vitamins. But believe it or not, we're not eating an amazing diet. If we were, then I would say, no, we do not need vitamins, but we don't eat amazing. And our gut is not very good.
Yep.
All of our guts are probably a little bit imbalanced.
Right.
So that's the reason why we need, like, maybe 80% of my patients need vitamin D.
Sure.
Yes, we live in sunny South Florida, but believe it or not, we're not getting enough.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And people don't realize that. People say to me all the time, I'm in the sun so much.
Yeah.
Like, well, it really comes down to your absorption.
Exactly.
And are you really translating that to a vitamin D level that's sufficient? Yeah. So will you share with us some of the details of some of the tests? Because most people don't understand, like you and I can keep saying functional medicine's amazing, and that the ratios, like the ranges of what you look like or what you look at are different. But how have you seen some of these tests give you data points that give profound information? I'll give one example, food allergy test. I did a food allergy test with you, and there was like A, B, or C choices. You could learn, a little bit or a whole ton about yourself. Of course, I went for the whole enchilada, and I was like, tell me all the data. And it said some interesting things. It said some things about food. And I think my understanding is people who eat certain foods all the time, oftentimes that comes up in the red category for them as inflammatory and causing trouble for them. And then over in the categories around supplements, it even said, like, don't take chlorophyll. And I was like, don't take chlorophyll, but chlorophyll is just good for you. So I bought it the other day and popped some. I never thought it could possibly be that thing didn't suit my body. And not all of us are always listening to our bodies to get that data. I try really hard to pay attention. I can eat something and tell you very quick if it's inflammatory. But will you share a little bit about that test so people understand why you order it and how it helps them?
Yeah. So usually how my visits go is that after that first visit, I will make recommendations. I email my patients. So usually I like to start off with just basics, just start off with blood work. And then, if something is kind of deer headlights, like telling me something's going on with their gut or, something else, then we'll address it. But say for the gut test, it's you're taking your poop and you're doing a test, and there's vials that you put it in, and it comes in a nice box, and you have a FedEx shipment to pre-labeled that's ready to go to ship it off, and you just collect your poop and send it off. It's super easy, quick, but you get so much data. That's what I love about the data. The data to tell us if you have an imbalance in your gut in regards to good bacteria, bad bacteria. It tells us if you have pancreatic enzymes, if properly producing, if you have recycling of toxins and hormones. It tells us if you haven't eating enough fiber. It's telling us if you have parasites, if you have all these protozoa and all these other things that shouldn't be there. So gut test is my favorite test. Then it comes down to, allergy testing for the food allergies. Yes, it's significant to know that when you do these tests, sometimes patients go a little bit overboard and they have to take it with a grain of salt.
Sure.
Because there's going to be a lot of things that show up red, like you said, but they eat those things. It may be thoughtful to within 30 days to remove those things and then reintroduce them slowly to see how your body reacts. So, you're very cautious and aware of your body, which I try to tell my patients that, when they go on a Whole30 or they remove the sugar, the dairy, the gluten, all those inflammatory foods, then when you bring it back into your life, how do you feel?
Yeah.
Write a little log about it. So same thing with that test specifically for foods. Write a log about when you're introducing this, is this right for your body or is it not? And you know your body better than anybody else. So I tell my patients that. So I really like them to be in tune of their body, understanding it and knowing. A lot of my functional medicine patients are 100% in tune of their body. So
yeah, they know how to listen.
Yes, exactly.
It's interesting. I got that test and it said, don't eat black beans. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? What would you like me to do? I'm a vegetarian. And I just remember reacting to it and thinking, all right, well, you took the test. This is your data point. It's not that bad. It didn't say give up everything in life. It gave you like 10 foods. So just do the work and see what happens.
Exactly.
And does it create that shift that you wanted or not? How do you feel? With stool tests, I'm a big fan of the stool test. I think everyone in America should do a stool test. I think we should all have that data right alongside better blood work. I think we need to understand our vitamin and mineral deficiencies because so many of us have them. The food that we eat nowadays is not the same food as before. So much of it is genetically modified. So many of us live these busy lives where we're just going to outsource our food to restaurants and stuff, cooking in inflammatory oil. So there's a lot of issues. But if you know that there are those issues and you don't have so much time to change all your lifestyle habits, then as long as you have this data, you can get a list. Like you usually sit down with me and we're like, okay, all of these vitamins are deficient. Which supplements are we going to take them? Which supplements will we take to fix that? And what I appreciate is you are constantly researching all the different supplements out there. You're constantly looking at those doctor's level medical grade supplements. You're looking at what moves the blood work. That's what I'm so fascinated by is the functional medicine crew is watching so many people's deep blood work. And if something never moves your CoQ10, they're going to know. And they're not going to recommend that brand again. So what kind of things have you seen when it comes to, because I'm sure you're going to the functional medicine conferences, what are some new things that you see coming online or that have fascinated you outside of the stool test, the food allergy test, the Dutch or the hormone tests that are available?
And I forgot one test to mention also, which I think is so important for us, just being in the stressful world that we live is cortisol and the saliva cortisol test. So doing that and seeing where you're at, it's really important because it can affect your sleep. It can affect what time of day you want to exercise. It can affect so many different things in our life. So it's really, getting in tune to that to then know how to help it and support it better.
Sure. So have you seen some crazy cortisol results?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Where people had no idea?
Yes. Exactly. Well, they're like, I can't sleep at night. I wake up at like 3 o'clock in the morning and then their cortisol is through the roof.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's just, and doing things like heart rate variabilities, which is, I feel, fascinating. We have Apple Watches, but also there's like the Aura Ring, which is great. Doing something called pace breathing and cold water splashes on your face. But then if you can do the submerge, that's amazing. Or even cryotherapy. So these are all amazing things to help your adrenal glands in those high stressful lifestyles that we live every day.
Sure.
But some new testing that's out there, I'm thinking,
is there any?
Oh, yes, I have some. So there's like genomics testing, okay? Just in regards to like medications. So there's some patients who are on multiple medications and it's just to see your genetic background on what medications are suited for you.
Interesting.
So it's like this whole pathway. And so it's seeing how you metabolize that drug.
Okay.
So even in simple things like having surgery and getting pain medications, and how you metabolize it, it's so important.
Sure.
So I'm doing that a lot on some patients who are, have multiple drugs because even though I'm a functional medicine practitioner, I still am family medicine. So I still treat patients with medications if needed.
Sure.
And it's really important to make sure they're doing it safely.
Yeah.
And, patients that are on antidepressants or anti-anxiety medicine, this really can tell us which ones not to start them on or which ones to start them on. So it's rather than kind of just blindly picking out of a hat, you can really guide them.
Wow. So
even cholesterol medicine,
nice.
Just looking at certain cholesterol medicines, if you want your patient on that, it's really helpful.
Wow.
Yeah. So
it's an added layer of customization
exactly
to the patient based on what they will tolerate.
Yes. Yes.
That's a big deal because, one point of this whole podcast was to highlight practitioners who are Eastern or Western or somewhere in the middle. And you're very integrated, which I enjoy. But I hear people all the time bashing Western medicine saying, they just want me on a pill. Well, from what I see is they want us safe. And they're using their tools to keep us safe and within certain boundaries within our blood work, so we're okay. So if I could know if I ever needed surgery, which pain drugs not to take, that would be huge because they are kind of just reaching into their book of solutions, you should say, and giving it to you. And so for me, I had a fibroid surgery. A couple of years ago, I had a fibroid that grew to, I called it a dragon egg. It grew to 10 centimeters. It's part of what put me back onto the path of functional medicine because I was like, I'm obviously high estrogen. Someone needs to manage me. I don't know how to manage that. And I don't want breast cancer one day. So let's just start doing the work. But that fibroid, I had surgery for it. And afterwards, the pain got so high, it wasn't working with Tylenol, Advil, or anything. And I just took what they prescribed me and I fainted. And my whole house freaked out. Everyone called everyone and ran me off to get seen. And I felt like I was riding waves in my own body. Like I couldn't think, I couldn't function. They were like, that's what high feels like. That's being high. I was like, that is the weirdest thing on earth. And I have no idea why anyone would do that. But later someone said, someone should have given you a quarter of that pill or that might not have been the right drug for you. So this is fascinating.
Yeah, your liver might have, not been able to metabolize it properly.
Right. So you can take a test now.
It's just a swab in your mouth.
Wow.
Similar to like any other genetics tests that we do, like MTHFR tests.
Got it.
Swab in your mouth.
Perfect. Yeah. And then you would know that data for life.
Yeah, exactly.
How cool is that?
If you ever needed to be on a blood thinner, it tells you.
Right. So you have this data, book of data on yourself.
Just in case,
Yeah.
that you needed to get on medication for some reason.
I love that. Can we talk about MTHFR for a sec? Yeah. Just because I think people are hearing like, are you a methylator, under methylator, over methylator? Like, what are you and what does that mean? Will you share what that is?
Yeah, so it gets a little complicated. So I recommend my patients, if I'm going to put them on B12 or certain supplements, to check their MTHFR. It's also very important for pregnancy. So a lot of my women that they're looking into fertility, that they're coming to me, we're going to check that because it can have, patients can have miscarriages, spontaneous. So just being, having that defect. So the homozygous is the most concerning, and that's having two genes that are abnormal rather than the heterozygous, which is just having one abnormal gene.
Okay.
And there's different ones. And then also when you do that data, it's also really important to check for homocysteine levels. So that's kind of correlates together. So, and homocysteine is related to vascular health, but also B12 deficiency. So that's where the whole methylation comes in. Do you need to take a methylated vitamin or a non-methylated? So it's really important to find this out because if you're taking methylated vitamins and you don't need it, it can cause more harm than good.
Really?
So yes, just with our pathways and stuff.
Got it. Yeah. So that's another level of customization.
Yes.
That we have access to. And what I like about it is what you're not saying is, I'm going to make you take this for the rest of your life. You're saying, I'm just giving you data, deep, beautiful data about your body and yourself. You may live with that for the rest of your life and utilize it. And I have found that I've been with you for 2 years at least now. I know really clearly what my blood work is. We do it every year. We do it multiple times a year. And there are certain patterns. And so what's really cool I have found with functional medicine is if you have certain seasonalities to your life and certain patterns to your life. My pattern is I work really hard till the summer. I take the summer to coast a little. I'm not as intense in the summer. And then come fall, I become a party girl. I entertain. And I tell you this, I host the holidays. I host Christmas and every Indian holiday on earth. And so my blood work comes January is very different than any other time of year. All my inflammation is up. And we both get a good chuckle out of it. And then it's time to do the work every time.
But we know how to support you too, which is great. Like we know how to support you for those times and how to prepare you for it, which is really nice. And we really I like to listen to my patients though too. Like I know you don't like to take a whole list of supplements. Yeah. So we try to combine them or we try to say, let's eat more of this. Yeah. So it's really personalizing it to you.
True. We do have those conversations. So I don't want to take 20 supplements a day.
Yeah.
Just because I'm a vegetarian and I'm deficient doesn't mean I'm a pill popper, even though I do own a supplement company and I do believe in supplements. There's only so many I want to take in a day, and I want to take mine and then just a few other people's. Right. So yeah, it's been great because you've been customizing with me. Like, hey, these are just sublingual drops. It's different. It's not a pill. Hey, if you can just add iron-rich foods, here's the list, Shivani. Okay. And we've worked so hard on my omega-3. It's like a long time conversation. Like, Shivani, will you just take the pill? No. So that's what's great is we can keep having that conversation until it's finally solved. Had you not been my regular practitioner who I could keep in touch with at this level, I would have just dropped the idea and never had a balanced omega-3 level forever. It would have been a never solved problem. And so that's what's really cool about having a relationship with your practitioner is you can say, look, I'm kind of sucking at this. Do you have another way? Yes. Is there another approach? Can we try something else?
Yes.
And then you still make the time to say, hey, I found another option. How about we try this? Yeah, which is really cool.
And so also, so I like to really tell my patients that it's about personalization and for them to just understand if there's not one way, if there's a way that, I'm recommending it, doesn't mean you have to do it that way.
Sure.
I always tell them, look, you're the captain of the ship. Yeah. I'm a sailor on board. We're trying to avoid you going into a boulder. Sure. So that's kind of like my little quirk about telling them that, because again, I'm in the shoes where I know how it feels when somebody tells you have to do something or you must do something, just growing up with Indian parents.
Sure.
It's just strict and you just don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You want to do what you want to do.
Sure.
So I really tell my patients, you're in charge. You make the decision. This is what I have to offer you. If you can't do it or you don't like it, let me know and I'm going to help you find another alternative.
Sure. And then what I also like is you reach into a lot of modalities. Like after that first visit, and you said this to me the other day, you said, I really like to get my hands on my patients. And I was like, wow, what an interesting, profound thing to say. Like you literally check, do you have scoliosis? What's going on here? Like really a full, what I would call a family doctor checkup, like you would do in an old school town.
Yeah. It's funny though, but a lot of my patients are like, I haven't had one of these done in so long.
Yeah.
They're like, nobody checks my reflexes.
Yeah.
And they're like, I thought a physical is just going over blood work. I said, no. Like, I need to put my hands on you. I want to listen to your heart and your lungs and check your eyes and your ears and do what I was trained to do. That's a physical. A full physical is not really blood work. Sure. It's really listening and doing your exam.
Yeah. And catching things that might not be going the way they should be going.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to your patients, I want to hear some more fun stories. Like, do you have any more stories, either with fusionary or with functional medicine, or just because you have a DPC practice, someone was finally heard and you were able to create transformations? Can you share some more of those? Because I know that always illustrates the point best.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm hearing a lot of patients when they come to me that they're not being listened to. Nobody's hearing them. So I just had a patient the other day, and we also have small employee group plans. So this employee group actually paid for their employee to be a member.
Nice.
And so he's like, I don't understand. Why am I here? I have insurance. Yeah. Please explain it to me. And so this is at the end of the visit. He's like, but you've been a godsend. He's like, nobody sat down and spent so much time with me to listen to me, to understand where I'm coming from. So you're a godsend, but I need to understand this model. Like, why are they doing this? Why are they paying this membership when I'm paying for insurance? And I'm like, well, they don't want you to use your insurance.
Sure.
They want you to have a relationship with your doctor. It's going to save time where you're not having to make an appointment and go in. You can pick up the phone and call me when you're at work.
Sure.
It's saving productivity time at work.
True.
But also every time you go to your doctor, their premiums go up.
Sure.
As an employer, their premiums are going up. So they're trying to utilize a DPC practice like me so I can keep you out of the hospital, keep you out of the urgent care, do my best to keep you healthy. So
how forward thinking is that? It's like really someone who's saying, I want to keep my overall cost low. Let me make this investment now so that my whole business cost of insurance and care doesn't go up. I don't lose productivity on my employees.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I really like that. I love when people think ahead. I love preventive medicine, right? So I love it when people look forward and say, how do I support the group in a better way? so we win at this overall?
Yeah. So this particular gentleman, he went to the GI doctor. He got, of course, a PPI. He did not want to take it at all. So he's with me. We're digging deep, trying to find out, okay, what's your diet like? Well, I drink coffee on an empty stomach every morning. Oh, and how many meals do you eat a day? 1 meal. So of course, over the years of doing that, you're going to have some kind of gastritis and irritability in your stomach.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? These are things we need to make some changes on.
Sure.
But in traditional model, we're not able to spend that long with the patients to really ask them the questions. The staff is asking the questions, but then the doctor's not even looking at those questions that are asked. So in my practice, my staff will spend time with the patient, ask them all the questions, and then I go back and ask them all the questions, because sometimes they may say one thing to my staff and then to me it changes. Yeah. Instead of the 3 drinks a week, oh no, I'm drinking actually 7 drinks. So we're digging a little deeper. So I have great stories. When I do check-ins with my patients, sometimes, again, like I said, I'm able to do it weekly or every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks. It's just great listening to them and listening to how amazing they're feeling and how they've lost weight and how, just little changes. They're sleeping better, just they cut out sugar and dairy and gluten, and they're having amazing, results. And they wish they did this 10 years ago. So it's just like all these little stories that, just little things. We're not, giving them 20, 30 supplements and, it's just little changes in their life that it's really helping.
Yeah. And I think it's just about taking that time. It's taking the time. It's about caring to dig into it. It's about having a different toolkit that you're reaching into, because you're reaching into the functional medicine toolkit alongside the family practice hat. And, when people ask me for referrals, what I love is you are both. So a lot of times functional medicine, and like I said, I love all functional medicine, but there's different types of functional medicine practitioners. Some are chiropractors, some are nurse practitioners, some are I don't even know what, but when it's a physician and you're still practicing both, it means you're keeping both hats on and you're able to kind of help them manage both sides of the line. And then the fact that you studied yoga, Reiki, and Ayurveda means that you still have that lens through which you can look at it. And if they're interested, give those,
I'm able to refer them to, a yoga studio or to you or to, a Reiki healer. So it's really nice. And in regards to like doing the functional medicine and the family practice medicine, a lot of functional medicine doctors, believe it or not, they want to push their patients off to their primary care. And they don't want to take over that primary care aspect. Sure. And they just only want to do functional medicine. I want to do it all because I don't want to hear my patient is going to their primary getting an antibiotic when they don't need it. It's a viral infection. So I want to be in charge of my patient to make sure I'm steering them in the right direction. Yeah. And then I don't want too many people's hands in the pot. Totally. So that's why when I refer to a specialist, they're on the same page with me. We're in sync. And I know if they're going to give them a medication, I'm going to understand it and know about it. And we're going to work together to make sure we're doing it safely. Sure.
Because if you did keep primary care in the picture, you're basically treating the patient like a pinball machine. They're going to go back and forth, yes. Confused, 2 different opinions. I hear it all the time. I get calls from practitioners who are like, my patient's on 20 supplements. Yeah. I don't understand. Can you help me back them out of it? I'm like, I am not the person for this, but I am one of those people. So let's educate the patient on, 20 supplements might be good for you, but it's about timing. It's about cycling them. And it's about understanding, pick your doctor and follow their protocol. We can't just put our hands in 18 pots and then expect the body to react well if we aren't working with someone who could say, I remember when I sat down with you and we did the initial, you said, look, not everything gets taken just like that. I need iron taken with C. And I can't even remember it now, but you gave me a chart and you were like, at this time, it's those 2 supplements. At this time, it's those 2 supplements. And I was like, thank you. I want to make sure I'm absorbing these.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're wasting your money on all these supplements. You're taking them all together and you're not getting the benefits of it. So why? Right. We're not doing what we need to do.
So I'm going to ask you one last question because I feel like we could talk all day long. Yes. When it comes to medicine and the model you're in, I actually have met many of your colleagues. So I know that you're well admired in the DPC world as a practitioner who's really struck a balance with your work life, with having a real life outside of medicine. And I know that you promote and encourage physicians and practitioners to really build a life where they love what they do, but they also have a full life around them. So can you just share a little bit about your mindset around creating what you've created?
So in 2017, when I decided to do DPC and kind of venture on my own and be an entrepreneur, I looked ahead at what I envisioned myself and what I wanted out of my life. And so I really wanted to figure out, well, what makes me happy? What's going to make me feel balanced? And that was my journey for happiness at that point. And so today I can say I'm in a good place, where I'm very loved and happy, and I love my patients and my family and my friends and all of my supporting colleagues around me, because I was able to build my dream that of what I wanted medicine to be like. So
Awesome. That's awesome. That is so rare nowadays.
Yeah.
I see that not to be true in many cases. And so when I meet a practitioner like you who's happy with what she's built and is happy with her patients and the work you're doing, I think that's so awesome. Thanks. It gives hope to everyone else.
Yes. I mean, not every day is amazing and butterflies and, rainbows, but it's getting there, and every day it's, you keep working at it. Right.
Yeah. And that's like any business, anything we do. Yeah. Well, beautiful. Well, thank you for coming to join me.
Thank you for having me on your show. And I enjoyed myself, and I look forward to doing more.
Yes, for sure. I love sharing all the different aspects of medicine and what we can do for ourselves. So thank you for coming.
Yes.
Thank you everyone for joining me for this episode. Check out our sponsor, Fusionary Formulas, the potent turmeric supplement used by doctors around the U.S. for patients with pain and inflammation. FusionaryFormulas.com is the website, and I'm your host, Dr. Shivani Gupta. For more, you can visit shivanigupta.com. Subscribe to this podcast in Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Click the follow button or subscribe in any of the apps that you use. That's all I've got for you on the Fusionary Health Podcast this week. You have the power to transform your health and achieve vibrant health starting today.